Welcome to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Stewart Willis and Judd Carlson. They are the co-founders of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Good morning, gentlemen. It's great to see you. Let me start with you, Judd. How are you?
Oh, doing great, doing great. Things are really busy.
Yes.
Obviously trying to cover across the multiple offices and do the planning. And we've again continued to have such a great response from the TV show, not just new clients that are giving us a call, but obviously a special thanks to all of our existing clients who tune in each week and let us know what they love about it and what they love about working with us.
Thank you so much, Judd. Stewart, how are you this morning?
Well, it's been awesome. I mean, being able to, travel between Scottsdale and our West Valley office it has been great still. We have clients in both locations, and now that we're, filming in Tempe, makes it really, really nice. So I love it. I'm having a good time.
And you're so busy, and yet you always take the time to do the shows, which I know the viewers love so much. And I love how we have had such positive feedback, and the viewer questions have been amazing. But today's topic, I think, is going to resonate with everyone in the viewing audience. We're going to talk about taxes. So, Stewart, let me throw that at you. Taxes, taxes, taxes. What's going on?
Right. So taxes are in the name of our company, Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement, for a reason, because to us, it's a very crucial part of your financial plan. And, oftentimes people hear about things like Roth and Roth conversion, and does it make sense to do a Roth or a 401k? And what we hear very often from our clients is that they'll talk to their advisor and they'll say, hey, I'm thinking about converting to a Roth. Does that make sense for me? And, oftentimes what we'll see, advisors do is say, you know what, yes, but I think you should talk to your tax person about that. And then their tax person says, hey, you should talk to your financial advisor about that. And the two just don't communicate, because most people's experience with tax people is during tax season. And, as an owner of a tax office, let me just tell you, these tax preparers are zombies during tax season. I mean, they're working 12-hour days. They're, just getting hundreds of tax returns done. You can't do appropriate planning during tax season. That all has to happen before or after. So it's really important to do that sort of planning. And, Judd and I have put together a really neat company that looks at all aspects of financial planning, including taxes. So I think one thing that I'd like to point out to you guys is that there are tons of changes on the horizon here. And, we all sense it. We all know it's happening. But let me go over what I think specifically could be affecting people and ways to look at taxes. So I've created a few slides here that will show you a couple things. So on the first slide here, what this is showing you is what the tax brackets look like during the 2017 filing year. So this is the Obama era, and what I've done in this is I've adjusted the numbers, and by the way, this is for married filing jointly, assuming a standard deduction on all of them. So if I get you accountants calling me saying, hey, what about deductions? Well, I can't put up every possible permutation of, what possibilities, but this is standard deduction. So if we look at the first chart here, under the standard deduction, you see the brackets go from the 0% that we're reflecting there is the standard deduction. The 10% goes to 15, then 25, 28, 23, 35, 39.6. So we've been hearing a lot about the 39.6% tax bracket. And that is the bracket that it looks like may be increased to again. And so if we flip to the second chart, the second chart will show the Trump tax cuts, the effect of the Trump tax cuts. As you see, a wider area of 0% taxes because the standard deduction basically went from about $12,000 to $24,000 in 2018, and then the brackets went from 10 to 12% rather than 12 to 15%. Now, a lot of people can't envision that stuff in their head, right? They can't, in their mind, merge them together. So what we've done is we've created this third slide here to show you how they're actually different when you look at standard deduction. The blue representing the Obama tax plan, red under the Trump tax plan. And under almost all circumstances for Arizona residents, their taxes are lower. Now there's some exception there in that 35% bracket where there's a sliver of people in that $424,000 range to $500,000 range that pay slightly more taxes. But the reality is what we're looking at moving forward is a reversion to this tax plan, right? Going back to the blue. So, President Biden said a lot of things in the campaign, and we have to take him at his word. And one thing they're going to do is get rid of the Trump tax cuts, right? So the other thing they've said is that it will not affect anybody that makes $400,000 or less. Well, those two different things can't both be true, right? Because as you see from that third slide, people are affected in a beneficial way all the way down to the 10% bracket, right? So they've made some nuanced changes to their their rollout here, and basically said that it'll only affect people 400,000 and above. We have to see the final plan, right? But what I'll tell you about this is that we are in the most efficient tax window in history right now. Okay, if you're not making a plan that revolves around taking advantage of where we are today, that's on you. We're telling you now that there are changes that will benefit you long term if you take advantage of them. And quite honestly, most people, they don't just get up off that couch and make the call to take a look at it. But what we're offering you guys today is a complimentary portfolio review where we will take a look at any of your deferred taxes, any of your issues that we can resolve from a tax perspective. All you have to do is call 833-652-7829. We'd be glad to give you a second opinion. We can have our tax people review your taxes and your plan and take a look at how we can benefit you on the investment side.
Stewart, thank you so much. Judd, there's such a difference between tax planning and tax preparation. Can we talk about the difference, please?
Yeah, I mean, and I think Stewart kind of tried to get into some of that, where most tax people that you sit down with, they are there to take everything from last year and put it into a form and get your taxes filed this year. And the tax people themselves can be very overwhelmed. So what we've tried to do with our program is everybody who gets their taxes done in our office, and we have 2 enrolled agents and a CPA who handle and review the taxes, and then Stewart and I will actually sit down and go over and deliver those taxes with the clients. And in doing that, we're doing that planning. So you're going to see us to do the planning right now as your taxes are being done. We're going to see you towards the end of the year to look at Roth conversions and some of that other stuff that goes on. And what we've always tried to share with everybody is, if you're new today just tuning in, well, why should I listen to what these guys have going on? Well, if you've never heard of asset preservation tax and retirement, we've been around for 24 years here in Arizona. We started basically with a estate planning option to try and bring affordable estate planning to the masses. And then along the way, we added the tax practice in 2005. We added a very robust retirement, income, and Social Security planning in 2013. In 2020, we added the TV show in the Scottsdale location. And then as we move forward into 2021, we have the new Tempe location. So we have the people and the experience in place to put these things that we're not just throwing bullet points out there to get you interested. We have the ability to take those and apply them to your situation.
Judd, thank you so much. Stewart, this is the perfect time for us to open up the phone lines to the viewers at home. What can you tell them they can expect to receive by calling in today?
So if you call 1-833-652-7829, what we'll do is we are offering today a complimentary portfolio review. And what we'll include in there is a look at all of the fees and risks and any sort of deferred tax issues we see there. We'll also give you a couple pointers on what we think you can do from a tax perspective, how to create a more efficient tax profile.
Stewart, thank you so much. Judd, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, once again, those phone lines are now open. That number to call is 833-652-7829. If you have questions about taxes and planning for your retirement, Stewart and Judd have the answers for you. Don't miss this opportunity to have a complimentary consultation. 833-652-7829. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Stewart Willis and Judd Carlson. They're the co-founders of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Gentlemen, a great show that we're having today, obviously talking about the important topic of taxes. Judd, let me ask you a question. We've heard so much in the news about changes to the capital gains. What can you shed some light on for us in terms of capital gains?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Stewart's alluded to it on a number of occasions about we are in the most efficient tax window right now. And one of the big pieces of that is capital gains. So when you have a long-term appreciated capital asset, whether it's property, a building, a stock, something along those lines that has gone up in value and you've owned it for more than a year, you have the ability to sell it and pay a capital gains rate versus ordinary income. And some people are in a 0% capital gains bracket, and then you've got a 10, a 15, and a 20. So the idea is, with the new changes that are coming about, there's talks of eliminating capital gains or drastically increasing that capital gains rate.
Okay.
So what we want people to do, again, is be proactive, take a look and make sure that if you have something that would make sense to sell part of that asset this year. And we hear it a lot in Phoenix. We've got rental properties. Is now the time to get out? The market's hot. If they get rid of these favorable capital gains taxes, or even worse, if they eliminate them altogether, that could pose a major problem for someone who has owned, again, property or an asset for multiple years. The other side is they talk about also eliminating or adjusting the step up in basis. So again, same thing with the stock. If you've owned it for a long time and it's doubled in value, under the current tax law, if you pass away, then your family is going to get that at today's value and not have to pay any taxes on that at all.
Okay.
But again, as part of some of the proposed changes going forward, they want to either eliminate step up altogether or again dramatically increase what those capital gains rates are.
Judd, thank you so much. Stewart, let me ask you, what is the right age for someone to start getting professional advice?
Well, quite honestly, most of our clients are, a couple years away from retirement. That's really when people start getting, the bug to start doing some planning. Some people never get that planning, but for us, if you're 58 and above and you have $200,000 or more of investable assets, you really are the client we're looking for. It's important to make sure you have a plan. One of the things we have, along the conversation of capital gains that Judd was talking about was we have tons of clients that are saying, okay, well, I'll sell this house or I'll sell this property, and should I do a 1031 exchange? Now, it's really important to understand what a 1031 exchange is, right? A 1031 exchange is basically pushing your cost basis into another property of greater or equal value. So does it make sense to defer a tax that you can pay at 20% where you may have to pay at 39.7 next year? Maybe, maybe not. I think everybody's situation is really different, but it's really important to understand, back to your original question of when should you plan. Well, I'll tell you, if you're 59 and a half or older, you have a lot of options that are available on your 401k. I know in the next segment we're going to talk a lot about that, what your options are, but I think it's really important for people to understand that the reason wealthy people are wealthy is because they plan, right? It's to create generational wealth, you have to plan it accordingly. And I think a lot of people just have been winging it because, listen, we've had these amazing markets where, quite honestly, a blind chicken could pick a good stock in this, for the last decade, right? Because the market has quadrupled in value. That's not where people are tested. Where we're tested is when the markets start getting into massive correction territory, right? And so we know we're at the highest peak in market history right now, plus or minus a couple percentage points. It is time to absolutely make a plan to make sure that, the last decade doesn't just get thrown away like it did in 2000 or 2008.
Stewart, thank you so much. Judd, steps and processes for someone that's going to become one of your clients. What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want you to be able to come in and sit down with us. Obviously, you can call the number, the 833-652-7829, and set up a complimentary appointment to come in. That's your hour. I mean, we want you to bring in exactly what it is that you want us to address and handle for you. Obviously, the more that you bring in, the better. Typically, we're going to analyze that. As Stewart mentioned, we'll have our tax people throw the tax return into our software to double check it for them. We'll run Morningstar reports for them and basically give them an idea, apples to apples, where are they with their investments, how much risk are they taking in there, what their taxes are going to look like. Now, generally, it's going to involve a second or third appointment to be able to cover all those various pieces. But at that point, if there's some need there and their clients are a good fit for us and our organization, then we would move forward at that point to become a client. But until then, we're interviewing, we're there to answer your questions, and we're happy to sit down and spend that time with them 2 or 3 different times. And again, that's going to be with Stewart and I. You're sitting with one of the 2 owners. And again, we want to make sure that we're the right fit for you and you for us, so that we can be doing this with you for the next, 10, 20 years.
Absolutely. And Stewart, once again, the locations, can you tell the viewing audience where you're located?
Absolutely. So the beautiful thing now is that we have 3 very convenient offices here in the Valley. We have our West Valley office, as we refer to it. It's right in the heart of Sun City, Surprise, real close, like 5 minutes away from Portobello and Sun City Grand, Westbrook Village. We also have our Scottsdale office that's over off the 101 in Shea. So we're right off there in Scottsdale. And then our beautiful new amazing place in Tempe, which is right off Cotton Center Loop there. If you go to www.apsitaxes.com, you can take a look at our address for all 3 of them. Tempe is going to be absolutely amazing. The nice thing is I'm going to be able to, when I'm done with clients, we can run in and film our TV show. It's going to be awesome.
Stewart, thank you so much. Judd, this is the perfect time for us to open up the phone lines to the viewers at home. Can you tell them what they can expect to receive today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you're sitting out there, give us a call, 833-652-7829. We want a chance to sit down with you, give you a complete analysis, let you know where you stand risk-wise, let you know where you're at as far as closing that retirement gap, let you know how you're doing on your taxes, and then again, any other questions that you might have. Some people, again, are looking at when should I take Social Security, what's the best for my spouse and I, and so we want to look at all of those things, again, not just at the upfront baseline number, but we really want to be able to project and let them know what's the sweet spot for what they're going to be doing going forward. So 833-652-7829, give us a call, and Stewart and I look forward to sitting down with you.
Judd, thank you so much. Stewart, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are once again now open. That number to call is 833-652-7829. We have to take a very short commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to have so much more. We're going to talk a little bit about pensions, so you don't want to miss this. And again, 833-652-7829. We'll be back momentarily.
What happens oftentimes is we'll run into clients or potential clients that have saved all this money, but they're 75, 80 years old. They've got this big pile of money, but they're not enjoying retirement because they're so worried about running out of money that they never actually get to enjoy their life's work. And so to me, it's really rewarding to be able to create a plan so that these people can have a great time in retirement, knowing that they're not going to run out, that they're going to be fine. You know, I think it brings a smile to their face.
We get a lot of different people at a lot of different stages in their lives. And what we're able to do is, for some folks, it's able to tell them that you're on track. Keep doing what you're doing, and 15 years from now, you'll be retired and enjoying life the way you want it to be. For some people, it's people coming in and they're 3 to 5 years away from retirement, and you're able to tell them that, you know what, 5 years, 3 years, tomorrow, you're ready to go.
We are a complete shop. We handle estate planning, taxes, financial planning. We do a really in-depth cash flow analysis that is way more detailed than you'll see in the market.
Everything all in one spot, with the left hand always knowing what the right hand's doing. Because it's not just about the investments, but how's that going to affect your taxes? It's not where are you going to be 5 years from now, 15 years from now. And it's that back and forth full view of what the clients, not only today, but tomorrow and their legacy down the road is going to be, that really sets us apart.
Welcome back to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Stewart Willis and Judd Carlson. They're the co-founders of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Gentlemen, a great show that we're having today. But Stewart, I want to jump right in and talk to you a little bit about pensions. Are pensions becoming a thing of the past? What is your experience right now?
Well, absolutely. What's happening is companies are just seeing that these pensions are becoming very difficult to fund. We're seeing pension reductions in multiple states. We're seeing it in Illinois in particular, where people are given these amazing pensions that are, 100% of income earned, after 20 years of service. And the problem is people are just living so long now that they just aren't keeping up. And a lot of these pensions, we've started to see reduction in pension payments. We have a great office out in Michigan as well. So, pensions are a really big thing in those, kind of Rust Belt states and so forth. But what most companies have done is moved over to 401k plans. But when it comes to pensions, a lot of people don't know what their options are, right? Mm-hmm. They start getting ready for retirement. They look at their options and they just check off a box and don't really think through the implications. I think one thing we do at Asset Preservation is we can basically model out for you all of those options for your different pension options. And the interesting thing here in Phoenix is we have some great employers here. Companies like Honeywell, for example, and Boeing. And at Honeywell, I think there's 5 distinct pension plans there. And what we see there is that a lot of times people are very well intended. They go and tell their buddy, hey, if you take it at 62, you'll get this and this, and it doesn't make sense to wait. But what we found out is that there are several distinct options at the same company, because whether you're part of the Allied Signal acquisition or some of the other companies that Honeywell bought, you really want to make a decision that's based around your plan, not around your friend's plan, because he may have been hired by another sub company. And a specific example is we have a client that is intending to retire at 62 years old. And by retire, I mean separate from employment. And the one thing we want you to do is realize that quitting your job and filing for benefits are 2 separate things. So when we talk about retirement, we mean quit your job. right? And so a lot of people believe they have to file for retirement immediately or Social Security immediately, and that's not always the case. But when it comes to pension plans, back to the Honeywell example, a part of their company basically says whether you file at 62 or 66, you're going to get the same dollar amount. There's other plans within the company that actually grow by delaying your benefits. So if you retire, stop working at 62, but don't take your benefit until 66, you're getting some adjustments in there that may make some, substantial sense to give us time for tax planning. But it's just important to realize you have tons and tons of options when it comes to your pension. Does it make sense to take a lump sum payout or does it not? And it all depends on the plan. I think what you want to do is make sure you have a fiduciary take a look at your plan to say whether it makes sense to take that lump sum or whether it makes sense to take the payout. It all depends on the plan. Because remember, sometimes those payouts can be reduced over time as well. So a lot of the assumptions may not be solid, for the rest of your life. It's important to understand all the possible iterations of that.
Stewart, thank you. Same with 401ks?
Well, yeah, so with 401ks, we have a lot of people that realize that we've had this amazing market for the last decade. It's been on this amazing run. They've been able to put it into the S&P 500 and make tremendous gains, and that's been great. But I think people are starting to realize that the party's over. It's coming to an end pretty soon here, right? The markets are going to start pulling back eventually. And, if a major correction happens, you don't want to give up all of your gains. Well, the reality is that once you turn 59 and a half, most 401ks allow you the option to have it professionally managed. And that's what we do really, really well. We use some of the greatest, the biggest money managers in the world to oversee our portfolios. And I think it's really important to make sure that it's not you just guessing. Because a lot of people say, I picked this one because it looked good last year, or I picked this one. Well, looking good last year doesn't mean it's going to look good next year, right? And so professional money management really matters when it comes to your 401k, your IRAs, etc.
Thank you so much, Stewart. Judd, what about Roth conversion planning? Can you help with that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of goes hand in hand as we're looking at the lump sum pension choices, 401ks. Again, if someone missed the beginning part of the show today, really we're focusing on taxes. So part of the reason that we bring this up is that if you turn on that pension and you're going to get this payment the rest of your life, you can't stop that income. So that's going to cause you some taxes.
Sure.
If you don't do Roth conversion planning and do things with your 401ks and IRAs, then those required minimum distributions at 72 become irrevocable income choices. And then even inherited IRAs and things, if you haven't done the planning ahead of time, then your kids, due to the CARES Act of 2019, are going to end up having to take that money out over a very short amount of time and pay all those taxes at their level. So, really, it's a matter of making sure that, again, you've got a plan in place for today, tomorrow, and in the future.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for another amazing show this week. To the viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen, 833-652-7829. If you have questions about taxes and planning for retirement, Stewart and Judd have the answers for you. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we'll see you next week.